Hello, welcome to Working Help Desk Ticket with Irvin, also known as Kobo Man. We have lots of tickets that we need to complete, so we're just gonna keep on trucking through, as they say. This is a number 14 video in the series, so let's keep going. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Irvin, also known as Kobo Man. Welcome to Learning Help Desk Tickets series. If you haven't watched from the beginning, I will put a playlist right above here to the right corner so you can check it out. I think this is the 14th video in the series, and things are going well. Right now we have 27 tickets to work, and I think I have at least one that we need to follow up on and see if we can get a resolution for that. But there's definitely a lot we can talk about and learn when it comes to these tickets. And before we begin, please do me a favor in the comments below. Just say hello, hi, or present, sort of like in class, so that way I can see that people are interested in this type of content. It's a really big motivational thing for me. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I want to say big thank you to people who became members of the channel, and it's not necessary to become a member of my channel. My content will always be free as a sign of respect for people that do sign up. You get 24-hour early access to the new videos. So if you're interested, there's definitely a join button underneath the video, and thank you for that. I mean, I guess that's all there needs to be said about that. All right. Let's see. Assigned to me, meaning that this is something that I already picked up. Let's see. Do we have to follow up? Do we have what's going on with this ticket here? This is the ticket from the previous video that we've had, and it talked about Sonic Wall Net Extender, which is a type of VPN software. And of course, the ticket talked about a printer not able to print on a computer. We talked about this in the previous video, which I will also make come up on the right top side. It will pop up if you want to check it out. However, we needed more information to troubleshoot this, and this is common in help desk where you definitely need more information when it comes to resolving any issues. Sometimes the tickets can be vague, and I'm not saying this one particularly isn't necessarily vague, but there is definitely not enough information for me to resolve issue. For example, I need help connected to the Sonic Wall Net Extender. No problem, but what kind of help do you need? What is the problem, I should say? And again, Robert, thank you very much for submitting this ticket. And we responded with, hello, this is Aaron with PC Support. I have your ticket about net extender and printer issue. And again, in the previous video, I've talked about possible solutions for any of these things. And I said, can you please provide any error messages you get when using Sonic Wall Net Extender? And the reason I only asked about Sonic Wall Net Extender specifically is because for the printer I provided a lot of different options on resolving this ticket. So, and for that reason, I didn't know what was going on with the Sonic Net Extender, so Sonic Wall Net Extender. So we needed more information, but we didn't get our response. And when it comes to help desk, you want to follow up at least once or twice. And if they still need help, then make sure you help them. But if not, then you can close the ticket. In this case, since I don't have a way to reach Robert, and again, you would have to reach the user or the customer for sure before you close any ticket. But in this case, to keep it moving, I'm just going to pretend that I've done that. Again, you guys have to do this in real help desk. You have to actually follow up and make sure it's okay with the customer for you to close if they still don't need help. So I'm going to say add internal note because we're closing a ticket, and I'm going to say no response from customer, and I'm going to say followed up 2 times, closing ticket at this time. If you need further assistance, please reopen, because you can actually reopen the same ticket, or submit a new one. So again, we're pretending that we actually did follow up multiple times, and and for those reasons, we're going to close it just to keep it moving. And this message is something that a customer will get. I know this is, if you add an internal note, usually customers or users will not see it. But when you're closing a ticket and that's the last one, they should be able to see it when the ticket is closed as the last thing that was submitted. If you're unsure whether that's happening, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to reply to customer. That way the system does send them for sure. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to remove this part of it because that first part of it was for internal, for like your manager to see. And I'm just going to say that. And so that way they for sure get the message. Okay. We're going to close that one. We're going to go to unassigned. So we have we've done a couple. We did one ticket from Araji before. We'll do one more, and since he's got multiple ones, we're going to skip over to some other people, like people that have multiple tickets submitted, which is appreciated. I really appreciate it. But I'm going to just kind of dart around, meaning that I'm going to pick somebody else. So if I work, one ticket from Raji, and if he's got another one, then I'm going to go to next person, and then so on, and then come back later, maybe in the next video, to the other ones. But normally you want to work tickets that have been sitting around for the longest time. How to configure firewall. Let's do this one here. Unassigned. Okay. So how to configure a firewall. Hello, could you please explain how to configure a firewall, Raji? So this is not necessarily, thank you Raji again for submitting another ticket. This is not something that you would necessarily do as a help desk person, but because this is done automatically with the group policy that is controlled by your domain controller. So domain controller is, well, let me make this so as simple as possible to understand. So you know how you have your login account, right? To whatever you use to log into your computer. In a business environment, that login account is part of Active Directory. Active Directory is basically a place where all the logins reside, people's names, computers' names, and etc. Active Directory is part of a domain. And domain can also control group policies for users and computers. And firewall restrictions are controlled by that. However, I will show you locally where this firewall can be applied. Okay, and there are some rules, and I'm only going to talk about it briefly just so you guys get an idea what's happening with this firewall and how it's applied. But it's not something you would be doing necessarily, but I'm only going to talk about so you guys can benefit at least something. You can at least learn something from it, right? At least get an idea of what's going on. So if you just go to a search here, right, then you type in firewall, let's see what happens, right? We got a couple of different options. We got Windows Defender Firewall with advanced security app. And then we got Windows Defender Firewall control panel. And then we got firewall and network protection here. And we can, we can check all of these here. And then we got check firewall status, allow an app through Windows Firewall. So there are different ways of going about this. And what the main thing is when it comes to firewall is to kind of get an idea how firewall works. So the first thing I've selected here is Windows Defender Firewall and Advanced Security. You can see right away that this won't work like this because it needs administrator privilege. It says you do not have the correct permission to open Windows Defender Firewall with Advanced Security Console. You must be a member of administrator group or network. So you need administrator privileges, and this is why I purposely just clicked on it, so you guys can see that if you are a help desk person that does not have administrator privileges, you're not going to be able to open this to begin with. So here it is, same thing, Windows Defender firewall with advanced security. And this is what I actually wanted to show you as the main thing. These other ones are just kind of sub parts of it, and it's not something that you necessarily have to worry about to get an idea, specifically of how firewalls block things and access things. And no, I shouldn't say access, how they block the outgoing or incoming traffic for your computer. This is just to give you an idea. This is not necessarily exactly how group policy works when it comes to firewalls. So I'm going to right click it and I'm going to run as administrator, so that way we can see an example of it. Here it is. Now it just comes up like this. So we got a couple of different things that I want you to concentrate on, and that is inbound rules, and then we got outbound rules. Inbound rules means that these are all rules, right? These are rules whether an application is allowed to receive inbound connection, meaning internet inbound connection coming from the internet. Inbound rules meaning to receive data. So inbound meaning to receive data. Receive data inbound. It could be either from internet, which is typical, right? Or from the local network. But in the end, it's just an inbound rule for inbound traffic coming in to your computer, inside to your computer. So inbound data. And we can set up new rules here, and it's very simple. You just select an we'll do a simple one. And if you scroll through here, you can see there are already a bunch of rules, basically saying whether they're allowed or that they're not allowed to receive inbound data. All right, inbound data. And we got bunch of different things. And if you select one, you can disable them, delete them. So these are all custom rules that are made. So how are these rules made? Well, let's make one, and we'll make one for outbound as well. But this is inbound. So again, for incoming data, incoming into your computer. And here it is. The simplest way to explain this is if you select a program that's going to be blocked from receiving data. So if you just, it's very kind of intuitive at this point to explain it. Let's just stick with the program. So that means we're looking for executable.exe file. And if I select next, then all I have to do is find a program path. You don't want to do all programs here. This is like if you create a custom rule or whatnot, but we're going to find a specific program we're going to block. And I'm going to show you how this works in the end. So what we're going to do here, we're going to block, let's see, which one can I find easily? So that way we can remove it later. Let's see. Do I want to block Chrome? Let's block Chrome. We're going to block Chrome. So here's Chrome works fine, right? It gets to google.com fine. So we're going to have to set up inbound and outbound. Because if I just do inbound, it's not going to necessarily work all the way. It's going to block some things. So we're going to browse for Chrome. We're going to browse, and Chrome, I believe, is under program files x86. And there it is, Google. Well, I guess I was wrong. Maybe maybe Chrome is a 64-bit application. x86 means it's a 32-bit application. So if I go to program files, these are 64-bit applications. Here's Chrome. So I'm just navigating through the folders to find Chrome executable. And here it is, Chrome. And if I right-click it, go to properties, you can see that the Chrome is an application, and it's an executable. So that's exactly what we need. We're going to select that. And now we're pointing to where Chrome resides. And this is very important because we're telling this rule that we haven't yet, but we will tell it to block. To block inbound data coming in. So we're going to click next. And I'm going to select block the connection. Block the connection, just to keep it simple. And you can see that you get different options here where you can look at later. But then again, for help desk, I'm going to make sure that you guys understand this as a starting point for somebody, especially who's new to IT, and wants to expand their knowledge. So, all right, there we go. We are selected to block the connection for the inbound. We're going to select next. And it says, what do you want this applied to? Do you want to apply this at domain level, meaning at work, right? Usually work is going to, at your work, company you work for is going to use a domain type of environment. All right. And then we got a private, which is usually at home, private type of connection. So they're speaking of different network connections here. Where do you want this? Do you want to block this at domain level? Or do you want to block this at private level, which is at home, or public level, sort of like a Wi-Fi hotspot at your local coffee shop? All right, so we're going to leave the check marks telling it to actually block it for all of them. But you can change rules here and modify it. But we're just going to keep going just to give an example of what happens. We're going to call it here. And the next, after clicking next, we're going to call it Chrome inbound block. Data block. And copy paste, same thing for description. So we can find it later on, so we can remove it later on because we don't want to block Chrome all the way. But we will block Chrome now, so we're going to test it out. I'm going to select finish. And there's our rule that we created right now. So Chrome is still going to work because the outbound hasn't been blocked, but some things will not work. The websites will be broken, this and that, because it won't be able to receive some of the data coming through. All right, and then let's do the same thing for outbound. Outbound means connection being sent out from your computer. Whenever you are trying to send data from your computer, this is going to be blocked now. So let's say you're uploading a file. Let's say whenever I upload this video to the YouTube, my outbound connection has to be free. If it's blocked by a firewall, it's not going to work. So anything that requires you to send data, and that's like same thing as like if you were to navigate a website, like the input that you do, things you type in a website, that's all outbound. You are sending that data. So let's create a rule, and it's going to be the same deal as we've done for the inbound. So I'm just going to run through it. So it's a program, browse, find Chrome executable, select next, block connection, just like before. Same thing. It's just for outbound. Same thing here for the domain, private and public. Next, we're just going to call it Chrome outbound data block. Okay, and then we're going to finish. All right, now let's see if Chrome is working. And I'm going to do a big zoom out here. And this is just the starting page. Let's go to google.com. Here we go. And it's thinking about it, and here it is. The site cannot be reached, can't be reached. The web page is at blah, 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 might be temporarily down or may have moved permanently to new web address. But we know that here it says error, quick protocol error. Doesn't really tell us much that in this fact it's actually the firewall that's blocking it, right? So I'm going to leave this up here so you guys can see, and then I'm going to go through and delete those rules that we've just created. So here's our inbound. Keep in mind, when you're looking at these rules here, that if you're not going to be able to find both inbound and outbound in the same place here. So you have to select inbound here on the left in order to find the inbound block. And here it is. So I'm just going to right click it, and I can disable it or I can delete it. In this case, I'm just going to delete it. So that's inbound. And then outbound, same thing. I'm going to right click and delete it. Okay. And I'm just going to do F5 here to refresh. And there it is. It works perfectly fine. And that's how you do this. Now, guys, just so you know, whenever I was recording the first part of this firewall speech, my video actually lost audio. So the part where I note this ticket is unfortunately gone because I already closed the ticket. I apologize for that, but we're going to continue nonetheless with other tickets. And yeah, that's pretty much all you can do when it comes to explanation of firewall for help desk. And if you want to get into networking, I have some networking videos, but as help desk, you don't have to go any further than this. But I highly encourage that you do learn more if you are interested or if it's easy to understand. All right, let's keep it going. Okay, so since we've done one for Raji already, we've done a couple tickets for Raji already, we're going to move on to the next one. We'll come back to Raji. Wi-Fi issue. I'm going to assign the ticket to myself. So it's titled Wi-Fi issue. We have an office space with about 10 people. And the Wi-Fi keeps dropping for some people. Okay? Wi-Fi keeps dropping for some people. It happens randomly for people, and it happens maybe 2 to 4 times a day. I suspect it's because there are too many people logging in on the same Wi-Fi network, but not sure. Actually, I think you might be onto something here. How would you go about troubleshooting and diagnosing the problem, and what would be your solution? What would you do to improve or stop the Wi-Fi signal from dropping? So from what I understand here, it's not that the signal is bad, it's just that people are being just randomly dropped off. So first thing first, we need access to the router itself. So what is the router, right? How do I get to this? Most people have this type of question when they're like, well, I don't know how to make these changes. So I'm going to show you how to do all of this here. The easiest way to find your router IP address so you can log in is if you open up a command prompt and type in IP config/all. So here you are, you're looking at a bunch of different things, and you're looking at things and they're like, how is this gonna help me? I mean, we got a bunch of different information for my local network adapter. In this case, I'm using this one down here, which is this Ethernet adapter. This is what I'm connected to, and here's some information that I get. So how is this useful to me if I don't know how to log into my router? Router is a gateway. You can say that it's a gateway to your internet, right? Once you connect your components or Wi-Fi, in this case Wi-Fi users, they're connecting to the router, and the router itself, you can be considered as a gateway to the internet, like a door, right? Gateway to the door. So for those reasons, we're going to look under default gateway, and in this case, it's always going to be your router is always going to be your default gateway. So we got 2 different versions here. Here is IP version 6. That's not going to help us. We can't use this to use it as part of internet protocol to log in as a web internet protocol, I should say. We can't use the IP version 6, but we can use IP version 4, which is right there, which is the same thing as this one here, except it's translated into IP version 4. And you can see that also your DHCP server, which assigns the IP addresses and allows computer to connect to Wi-Fi or physical network. But in this case, let's talk about Wi-Fi. DHCP server dynamically assigns IP addresses to computer that are connected to Wi-Fi. Okay, and it's the same location because your router is your DHCP server, and it's also your gateway to the internet. All right, so let's just open up a new tab and paste that in. And here it is. We just pasted that IP address, and here is our router. I'm logged into the router already, and for this, what we're going to look for is how many people are allowed to connect to the Wi-Fi. So we're going to connect, in this case, the connectivity. It's going to be different for your router or whatever else. And you can see what my IP address is for, not IP address, but my settings for my Wi-Fi that's set up. Here is the password, blah, blah, blah. This is just an example password that I just kind of put in there. And what you're looking for, in my case, you're looking for internet settings, a local network. And this local network is basically all the people that are locally connected to your router and who are connected to your Wi-Fi, right? Which is the same thing. Your router is your Wi-Fi, and then you can hear limit of how many people can be connected at the same time, right? So if you change this setting, you can limit of how many people can connect to it. If you have 10 people, right? If you have 10 people, like you've said in your ticket, you might want to set it to 15, like it was here. Just so in case you have additional people that connect. Because people can be running in and out. Maybe you have some guest logins that people can log into, this and that. And for those reasons, you want to change this number to be a little bit higher, because you may have like somebody's cell phone connected, somebody's laptop. If you have 10 people working in the office and every laptop is connected, that's 10 right there. But then if you got 5 people who are also connected with their cell phone, then even 15 may not be enough. So you might want to actually double it to 20 in case everybody decides to connect to it with a phone and their laptops. And then you can just apply, and then it's going to reboot the router, this and that, and that's how you could go about this. Of course, make sure you test the signal for the people that are being dropped. If it's random people, then it's most likely just a limit of how many people are allowed to connect at the same time. And I just lost connection because I rebooted my router, as you can see here. So we're going to I didn't think of that. I forgot that I was remoted into it. But here's an example. I mean, this is what can happen. So you got to be careful. I'm just going to wait for it to reconnect, and we're going to reconnect, and then we're going to note that ticket and just continue from there. Here it is. It came back very quickly. I didn't even stop the video or anything. Let me just squeeze this here a little bit. So I'm going to say here, I'm going to reply. Again, this is not a typical ticket for, well, I don't know, depends which, which help desk you're working for. You may get this type of ticket, I don't know. But either way, log into their router and see, make sure that there's enough IP addresses or enough connections are allowed, as I've mentioned. Now, obviously, check the signal. Usually signal is the issue, but in this case I'm going to assume that it was the amount of people. So I'm going to say hello, this is Irvin with PC support. The reason I didn't do this on previous ticket because I already done a ticket for Raji, and Raji should already know who I am, right? So, but I've never talked to this person. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. It just came up as Wi-Fi issues for your name, and that's fine. But thank you for submitting a ticket. I'm going to say the issue is most likely with the amount of people who are connected to the I'm just going to say to Wi-Fi. You can change these settings within the router. And I'm just going to leave it at that because this person seems to be a tech support person as well. And for those reasons, we're going about this ticket a little bit differently, where I don't have to talk to them in the sense as if they were real user or real customer. Well, I mean, everybody's a real user. It's just in a help desk environment. Usually users are referred to people who need help with computers. And I think this is an IT person. And I'm just going to close it because in this case, it kind of seems like just more like an advice. But yeah, definitely never close any tickets until you make sure that everything's resolved. And, if you have, as a help desk, if you access to that router, you can make the changes like I showed you here in the router. You can do this on their behalf if you're allowed to, if you have access, this and that. And of course, I would check the signal first more than anything. Make sure that that is okay there. Okay, moving on. Okay. And we got a bunch of tickets from MD Alam. Now, I've done like 3 or 4 tickets for him, and we'll definitely get back to that. But again, I've done 3 or 4 tickets in previous videos for him, so we're going to move on. I'm sorry, but we'll get back to this. Don't worry. We're just going to keep it moving a little bit to give a chance to other people to be shown and featured in the video. All right. Here's a different one. I'm going to assign ticket to myself. LibreOffice not opening. Okay. LibreOffice is not opening after installing. I can't open any files with it. Help me with this issue. So there's, I don't see a person. Well, I see a person's name, but it's just a email address. Thank you for submitting a ticket. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name here because I'm not sure which part of it is your name. So, but thank you for submitting it. LibreOffice. So LibreOffice is like an open office version of Microsoft Office 360. Well, okay. It's not Microsoft Office 365, but people who can't afford Microsoft Office download LibreOffice. There's another one also called OpenOffice. So people use LibreOffice as in a free version of Office Suite. Let's just call it that. So basically people who can't afford Microsoft Office download free open version, like it's free software that should work as just like Microsoft Office. So people download this and install it. Now his issue here is it's not opening after installing. I can't open any files with it. Help me with this issue. Now what do you mean? You are not open. Are you not able to open new documents? That would be my question to you, right? Are you not able to create new documents? Are you not able to open up any of the applications within LibreOffice? And if the application is not working, period, meaning you can't open it at all, right? You can't open it at all, then it's an issue with the installation itself. Then you have to uninstall it, reinstall it, and then see if that works. Now, if you keep reinstalling it and it's still not working, make sure that there is no issue with your antivirus that's installed. Sometimes antivirus will block. So the only antivirus I have is Windows Defender installed. But if you have antivirus installed, it can sometimes delete certain files, thinking it's like a suspicious file. So make sure that your antivirus, whatever it is, look at the history, look at what it's doing. Make sure it's not deleting any files that are required for Open Office or any application or LibreOffice. I keep saying Open Office is because that's the one I use sometimes. But make sure that LibreOffice is not losing any files that are accidentally deleted by the antivirus. Okay. Now, if your issue is I can't open many files, as in, they're different format, then that's a different issue. If you have files that are saved as a file format that's not compatible with LibreOffice, then that's your issue right there. Like if it's like a XLS file or .doc file, see if these file extensions are compatible with LibreOffice, right? So, for example, if I just look at a properties of just a Word document here, just to give you people who are new to what I'm talking about, you can see how this text document has .txt extension. Well, is LibreOffice, for example, able to open up .txt extension? But since this is an Office type of suite, it'd be most likely like XLS or .doc or PTP, which is PowerPoint, I think, and etc., etc., etc. So make sure that that's compatible. Aside from that, I really can't think of any other reason why it wouldn't work. Excuse me. So those are the things I would check. And as as a help desk, you would of course take control of their computer and see if this is the issue. If you're watching my videos for the first time, you can use remote desktop to take control of their computer. And I use a program called Dameware at my work, which is this. I type in IP address of their computer or host name, which is their computer name, or I can send them a link that they can use to allow me to take control of their computer. Okay, so I'm going to say, what did I say? So Libre, again, I hope you watch my video, but I'm going to say, please reinstall please reinstall LibreOffice, but make sure that antivirus software is not deleting some files used by LibreOffice. Okay, that was step one. That's in case you can't, if it doesn't work at all. If you can't open files, make sure that they are compatible format. Yeah, I don't know how else to word it here. I'm kind of, I've explained it, but if you can't open files, make sure they are compatible format. I think that's fine. And I'm going to close this ticket again because I'm going to assume, well, okay, let's do a eternal note. Let's assume here, just to kind of pretend like we're doing a live help desk, I'm going to say reinstalled LibreOffice. Tested, and now it's working. I'm just going to assume that's it, that just for training purposes, and then now I can close the ticket. Of course, double check this. I say this a lot, double checking, because we are working what if scenarios here. Obviously, I can't show you a real help desk from my real company that I work for because of the security reasons. I mean, this is the internet, right? Okay. All right, let's pick one more. I'm actually recording this in breaks. So this is actually a third break that I had to take. The reason being is I'm on call this week and having to run to the office a lot and do some stuff there. So really exhausted at this point. This is a Saturday now, but I've been recording this video throughout the week. But let's continue. I'll do one more and then I'm going to edit the video. It takes me about, I don't know, 6 hours. And I'm actually on call right now. I just helped another user, or actual user, which unfortunately I can't show you because it's a matter of security type of thing. But it was a VPN issue, so let's pick this VPN one. All right, I'm going to assign ticket to myself. VPN is not working. It says I am. This is from Marianne Sayola. Kayola or Sayola. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but thank you very much, Marianne, for submitting this ticket. I appreciate it. I'm working from home at the moment, and I need to connect to the company via VPN. Yeah, funny enough, I just literally helped somebody on the phone with this. I am online. I can use Google and receive my private mails, but connecting via VPN is not working. Server is online. Password correct, but no connection to the company is built up. So he's not not able to connect. So I wish I had more details to resolve this properly, but we know some facts. We know it's from home and that it's a request to connect to the company via VPN, right? The main reason to use VPN is so you can connect to a different network. In this case, it's user's company. I am online. I use Google and receive my private mails, but connecting via VPN is not working. So if you're receiving your private mails through Google, that means your internet is working. So we now know that that step of troubleshooting is done. However, I would have you try other websites aside from Google, just to make sure that it's not some kind of a proxy issue or a DNS type of issue. But if you're not connected to the VPN and you're working from home and Google works, chances are, proxy is not going to have any effect. Proxy, for those people who don't know what the proxy is, it's a setting that is within, I'll show you, internet, just enter options. I'm very tired, guys, so I'm a little sluggish. I apologize at this time. So here is the proxy settings. If you open up internet options and then go to the tab where it says connections, and then you go down to LAN settings right here, you can see that there are some settings for you to change in regards to proxy settings. Here's one that's set up right here, and it would look something like this. A lot of times you would just say use automatic configuration script. In this case we have this one here, and this is just an example. The company I work for will have very similar setup, but it could be like anything. I can change this to whatever the proxy is, and all you have to do is just make sure that this is correct, in the sense is that you compare yours to the user's computer to make sure that's running. And that's not the issue here, but I kind of wanted to touch on that so you guys know in the future, in case that this was deleted or removed. What proxy does is basically routes your traffic through a certain server that controls access to certain websites. So proxy server can block certain websites from being accessed, and it's also used to monitor network or / internet traffic. So this is a server that routes and filters any traffic or any access to the internet, and it can record the things that you're visiting on the internet or local network websites. I should say websites, because you can have local websites or you can have obviously internet websites. So that's what I mean, websites. So whenever you are using this, it will block certain ones. Like it doesn't, for example, want you to go to youtube.com. Proxy server will be blocking this, or can block this. So got to make sure that these settings are correct. So that's just a one tip right there, since we're at it. And of course, in this case, Google works and receive private emails. It just means your internet is working. So I'm assuming you don't use Google for work. Some people use Google for work, and that's fine. So you must be using like Outlook or something. Let me know if you actually happen to see this video, Marion. Server is online, password correct, but no connection to the company is built up. So this is where I have questions. If you see the server is online, that also another indicator that internet is working. Because whenever you pull up a VPN to look through the server list and you select one server that you want to connect to, they wouldn't even show up if you weren't online. So servers are online. The reason you see them is because your internet is working and you can reach the servers. You can see them because your internet connection is working fine. Password is correct, but no connection to the company is built up. So here is where I would ask, what is the error? Or does anything happen? At some point there should be an error of some sort. And for those reasons, I'm going to keep this ticket open. And if you can send me, I'm not saying, you can send me a screenshot of the error as long as it doesn't have your company's information or your personal information. Okay, make sure it has your personal information, but you can send me a screenshot of this, or you can just respond to me and tell me what that is. Because you could say wrong password, it could say rejected by the server, which could mean that you, I don't know, no longer have access. There are other weird things that can happen with VPN. I've seen VPN get stuck in the sense where if you, for example, used a different computer and used the VPN on it and haven't logged out properly out of it, it can have its connection stuck onto that computer, thinking, and the server, this is a server fault. The server would assume that you're still connected on another computer, and it would reject the connection on the new computer. So that's one possibility. And just as a quick solution, I would try different servers. If you have more than one server, try a different server, see if that works. Go check your account to make sure it's not locked. You can also be rejected from connecting or not able to connect to a server if your account in Active Directory is blocked. So you can look up your account and see if it's locked out. This usually happens whenever you try, your password, whenever you try wrong password multiple times. It could also mean that your password has expired and you haven't changed it on time. This will also block VPN access. So these are some things you can check or have the IT check for you. If you're not IT, I'm not sure. But aside from that, I would need an error message that you're receiving. All right, I'm going to reply and I'm going to say, hello, this is Irvin with PC support. I have your ticket about VPN not working. VPN not working. And actual user that I've just in my actual company that I work for that I just helped, I talked to them on the phone. I found that to be the easiest way to troubleshoot these type of things. If your help desk, make sure that user is doing this correctly, because there's sometimes you can mess up on how you log in. So for example, if you're logging into some of them, you'll have a login ID, then you'll have a password, but the password will be a combination of your secure PIN plus the duo code, for example, or those codes that you get to sign into websites that are randomly generated. So it'll be a combination of those sometimes, or your password plus your randomly generated code. So make sure that that's being done right. But on this one, I'm going to say, please send me a screenshot of the error, if any. I've talked about possible solutions for this issue. And of course, you can have, an account that's been disabled, like your VPN login that's been disabled. Of course, check that